The following portion of Daytime Tri-Cities is sponsored by Kubota of Kingsport.
Well, we are on the road for this month's Fields and Farms, doing it a little differently this time. We are inside a Food City store, hanging out by the locally grown produce, things like tomatoes and beans and cucumbers. So where do they come from? Well, some of these items are being picked right now in a field just down the road.
It is a very unusual experience for some folks. I'll meet someone in the store and they say, "Tony, I passed there this morning and you guys are picking and here it is." I say, "Yeah, here it is."
Here it is. You can literally see the Food City store from one of the fields. Tony Slaughter has been farming in this area for as long as he can remember.
Well, I started farming in 1980, right out of high school, and I've grown produce since the 90s, as well as tobacco, when tobacco was still a very popular crop here, and cattle and row crops, some corn, soybeans, and wheat. But produce has always been a very important deal for me and something that I really enjoy doing. So throughout the years, I've grown for some other, what are now competitors of ours. And then 4 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be approached by Food City, and I joined their team, and I've been with them ever since.
People around here watch and wait for Tony's produce to show up in stores. They know soon these tomatoes will be perfectly pulled from the vine.
It's all I've ever done. It's all I ever wanted to do. I'm not sure it was the right choice to make from a financial standpoint or from a lifestyle standpoint, because it's a very difficult life. And for the most part, it's not been a very lucrative life for folks in agriculture. I mean, there's a reason less than 1% of the population of this country is involved in agriculture. Certainly not because we've got rich. If that would have been the case, it wouldn't be that way. And that it's been on this path for a number of years, but we've got to eat.
His main field is in Gray, 32 acres off Highway 75, right in between a busy bank and a popular restaurant. His tomatoes are actually across the highway, across 4 lanes of traffic. He has 11 people working on the farm, helping him plant, prune, and pick.
We move them around depending on where they're needed on a daily basis, whether we be driving stakes and tying up tomatoes, or once we start harvesting, we'll be harvesting at different locations sometimes throughout the day. So it's a little bit of logistics involved, but we're very close to our packing shed, so it's not very difficult for us to do that.
The colder spring delayed some of the early harvest, but things are now full speed ahead. Everything is coming along nicely. Tucked underneath, you'll find a few bright red tomatoes ready to go. Perfect for popping. Is there anything better than pulling one right from the field to enjoy right then and there? Brings back memories for me and many others.
Well, I think in produce, there's a little bit of nostalgia involved. I think, for instance, I meet folks all the time that says, you know, when I was a kid, I'd love to go to my granddaddy's garden or my grandparents' garden or my parents' garden and get a tomato off the vine, or a mess of beans, or whatever they wanted to get. And you just can't get that anymore. Well, you can still get that with us, because we pick vine-ripe tomatoes. Many times what we pick is going to be in the store that day.
He also has his own retail stand where he sells some of his other produce too that he grows on a smaller scale, like corn and okra. He's planted a lot in this area, history that sprouted from roots long ago.
The farm that I actually live on, where my packing shed is, was my granddaddy's and my great-granddaddy's and then my dad's, and now it's mine. Of course, it's a hillside farm, it's not a crop farm. And I live on that farm. I've never even moved off of it. So I've moved a total of 150 feet from where I was born my entire life.
A lot has changed during his farming years, the industry and the technology, but his passion for farming the land has not.
There's not a lot of folks that do exactly what I do. There's a lot of growers that go to distribution centers, but not a lot of folks do direct store deliveries. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot more involved in it, but it works out really, really well. So this has been a very good thing, I think, for Food City, for our customers, and it's been a good thing for me as well. My name's on there, my reputation's on it. So we do have, over the years, developed a following, if you will, among our local customers. So it's made it very, very nice.
And just to let you know, now is the time. You can find Tony's Farm Fresh Produce at several of our area Food City stores. And you can also visit his produce stand, where you'll also find things like his sweet corn, more of his beans, and of course his squash. You can find that on Fordtown Road over there in Kingsport. For more information and to hear more about Tony's story, you can always check out his Facebook page. It's Tony Slaughter Farms on Facebook.
The preceding portion of Daytime Tri-Cities was sponsored by Kubota of Kingsport.